Hi, I'm Josh. Have you seen the viral video on TikTok, the one about a deadly solar storm on July 5th, 2025? While this might seem scary, it only affect power grids and electricity. While we will hit a solar maximum in 2025, the odds of this happening is a 0.12% chance. Speaking of 12, even if it does happen, it will be nothing like what happened for the movie 2012. Now, you heard me talk about a solar maximum. You're probably wondering what that is. A solar maximum is when there are a lot of sunspots, spots from the sun where the magnetic field is extremely boosted, 25,000 times Earth's magnetic field to be exact. For my capstone research, my main inquiry question was, what are the possible solar threats to Earth and what are we doing to predict them and protect Earth? To answer this question, I had 5 sub-questions. Here they are. What are the threats to Earth? Which is the most dangerous? How does the threat affect Earth? What do we do to predict all solar threats and what do we do to protect Earth? A solar storm is when plasma, matter that is so high it has its own phase of matter, gets launched from the sun in a certain direction. If the plasma gets launched toward Earth, it would only penetrate its atmosphere. But if the solar flare happened, then if the plasma hit Earth, it would get into its geomagnetosphere. Now that's a big deal. If it went into its geomagnetosphere, it could cause a geomagnetic storm, as showed here, which in turn could cause enormous radio blackouts. There's a specific type of solar flare called the coronal mass ejection, or CME. A CME is almost the same as a flare, except for one key difference. In a CME, there's not only plasma but charged particles. This is a CME and a solar flare side by side. Lastly, there's solar wind. Solar wind is from plasma. It only gets to Earth. It doesn't penetrate its spheres or anything. It's almost like a meteor. As you can see, the main solar threats are solar wind, solar storms, solar flares, and CMEs. I was curious which of these is the most dangerous, and almost instantaneously, I found out that it was the CME. It is a CME because, as I said earlier, it not only has plasma but charged particles. Here's the basic diagram of the CME. 1. A different type of solar storm erupts on the sun's surface. 2. A coronal mass ejection blasts off the sun. 3. The coronal mass ejection hits Earth. And 4. Approximately 2 days later, Earth is affected negatively. As you can see, CMEs are the most dangerous because they not only have plasma but charged particles. I was curious what this threat does to Earth, and I found out that it affects the power grid. It affects the power grid because since it's magnetic, it can place currents that are so strong it's too powerful for the power grid to handle. I'll talk about this a lot later, but Earth's atmosphere and geomagnetosphere protect us. I was curious what we can do to protect Earth from CMEs specifically, and I found out that there's not much we can do. According to Marius Frost on Quora.com, yes, it is nearly 100% vulnerable. There's very little we can do to protect Earth from a powerful flare. As you can see, there's not much we can do to help our power grid. I was curious what we can do to predict solar flares, and I found out we can use an extreme ultraviolet and X-ray radiance sensor, or an EXIS. According to nextgov.com, EXISs have 2 main systems. 1 is the EUVS, or extreme ultraviolet sensor, and 2 is the XRS, not the IRS, don't worry, the X-ray radiance sensor. Here's how these 2 systems work. 1, the EUVS measures ultraviolet coming from the sun. If there is an extreme amount of ultraviolet, this can easily be used to predict solar flares. And then the XRS just measures solar activity on the sun's surface. I was curious what we can do to help Earth from all threats in general, and I found out that we can shut down the power grid. According to Quora.com, yes, shutting down the power grid would be a shotgun approach. Basically, if we shut down the power grid, the CME will have nothing to damage. Also, like I said earlier, Earth's atmosphere and geomagnetic field protect us, just like the ozone layer. As you can, to sum it all up, the main solar threats are solar flares, solar storms, CMEs, and solar wind. The most dangerous is the CME. The CMEs affect Earth by damaging our power grid. We can use an Nexus to predict these threats, and there are a lot of methods to protect Earth. Please scan this QR code if you would like a blog post with my overall opinion on this project, as well as links to my script, essay, and more.